Chapter 6 is all about quadratic functions. In section 6.1, we will be taking a look at graphing quadratic functions and some different characteristics that they have. Now, every quadratic function is in this form: f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where ax squared is your quadratic term, bx is your linear term, and c is your constant term. Now, a cannot be 0, because if a is 0, then you have no quadratic term, and it is not a quadratic function. The graph of any quadratic is called a parabola. The parabola has a U shape. Now, all parabolas have an axis of symmetry. Basically, your axis of symmetry is if you took that parabola and folded it along the axis of symmetry, then there would be the exact same thing on each side. Now, the point at which the axis of symmetry intersects the parabola, that's called your vertex. So given this arbitrary parabola, my vertex is down here at the bottom. My axis of symmetry is a vertical line that cuts through my vertex. My axis of symmetry is always going to be the equation x equals some number. It has to be the equation, because I'm talking about the equation of that vertical line. Now, your y-intercept is always your c value. Okay. So just a little bit more about the graph of a parabola. You're given the general equation f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. My y-intercept is always that c value. So it's always going to be 0, comma, whatever that c value is. Now, the equation of the axis of symmetry is x equals negative b over 2a. Okay? And it's the b and the a from the quadratic equation. Now, the x-coordinate of the vertex is negative b over 2a also. That'll tell me how far right or left I have to go from the origin in order to find my vertex. Now, the y-coordinate of the vertex is f of negative b over 2a. Basically, what that means is we take the x-coordinate and plug it into the given equation. This will give me the y value of the vertex. So I can find the x value and the y value of my vertex. Consider the quadratic function f of x equals x squared plus 9 plus 8x. Find the y-intercept, the equation of the axis of symmetry, and the x-coordinate of the vertex. Okay? And then after that, we're going to make a table and then use this information to graph. All right, starting with A, the y-intercept is just my c value. So it's going to be 0, 9. The axis of symmetry, x equals negative b over 2a. So it's going to be x equals negative 4. This x is also the x-coordinate of the vertex. And some y. Now, it doesn't ask for it, but let's find it anyway. Let's also find the y-coordinate of the vertex. I take this negative 4 and I plug it in to my original equation. So that gives me 16 plus 9 minus 32. So I get negative 7. So now I know that the vertex is at the point negative 4, negative 7. Next, we're going to make a table of values that includes the vertex. And then we're going to, from that information, we're going to be able to graph. Now, since I know my vertex is at negative 4, the x value, then I want to pick a few x's to the left of negative 4 and a few x's to the right of negative 4. So maybe I'll go negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, and negative 2. Now take a minute and plug each of those values into your original equation. What we should get back out is negative 3 when I plug in a negative 6. Negative 6, I already know this is negative 7, negative 6, and negative 3. If you did not get one of those values, go back and check your math for that specific x value. Now I can simply plot those points on my graph. Okay. So negative 6, negative 3. And then just sketch the best you can, kind of connecting your dots. Now, if I wanted to also draw in the axis of symmetry, that's along, remember my axis of symmetry is x equals negative 4. So that's this vertical line, which exactly cuts my parabola in half. And it goes through my vertex. Some more information about quadratics. Depending on what your a value is, depends on how the parabola is going to open. If my a is positive, my parabola is going to open upward. And I'm going to have a minimum. Okay? And that minimum is going to lie at the bottom of my U shape. If my a is negative, my parabola is going to open downward. And I'm going to have a maximum where I kind of reach the top of my curve. So consider the function f of x equals x squared minus 4x plus 9. I want to determine whether the function has a max or a min, and then I want to find that maximum or minimum value of that function. Well, taking a look at my equation, since my a is positive, that means that I'm going to open, it's going to be a regular U shape, so I'm going to have a minimum value. Now, to find that minimum or maximum value, that is simply just your vertex. More specifically, it is the y value of your vertex. So I go through it just as if I did it before. First, I want to find the x coordinate, and I get negative b over 2a. So I get 4 over 2, which is more simply just 2. Then I take that and plug it into my equation. So I take f of 2, so I get 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 9. So I get 4 minus 8 plus 9, which equals 5. So therefore, the minimum value of the function is 5. What that means is this is the lowest y value that my function has. From this, I also know that the vertex is the point 2, 5.